Everybody, what's good today? Welcome to the Young Life Warrior podcast. So we are speaking to the amazing Ife Thomas. Ife is absolutely phenomenal. She is a superstar. She's just sent me a message on here, so hopefully she's going to jump in a second. She's been on Big Brother. She is responsible for the star, the confidence star, which helps kids become more confident in life by showing up powerfully every single day with specific affirmations. And I'm so excited to have Ife Thomas on board today. Love Ife. Hey Joe, how's it going, bro? So I want to see if Ife is available now. It's 1 o'clock. This is just going to be a little random little chat with Ife, and then hopefully we're going to have a little bit of a chin waggle afterwards as well. You're looking at only around about 10 minutes. It's going to be like a little short one today, team. I hope we're all good. I hope we're all winning on this fine day. Just going to wait a little bit longer for the Ife machine to swing on in, wherever she is. Yeah, Joe, how's it going, buddy? We were gonna hang out with me at some point. You're gonna speak. Here's Ife. Here's Ife. Here is my girl, my lady, Ife Thomas. Enter in 3, 2, 1. Boom! That was great timing. Hey.
So nice
How are you,
to
champ?
see you.
Now, for those of you that do not know Ife Thomas, you are seriously missing out. I have had the privilege of meeting her in person. We first connected on Clubhouse, and she's an absolute severe legend, and there's no stopping her. She's just a formidable human being, aren't you?
Thank you so much, Dale. What a lovely intro. It's wonderful to be here with you. I feel the same way about you. You know, you said so many stories that have inspired me and put me right there with you when you're doing your work, which is great work. And, you know, if anyone doesn't know, Dale helps young people to really, you know, take their power back, especially if they're being bullied. And I think it's great. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So thank you for having me on this live with you. It's lunchtime. It's a lunchtime live.
Oh, well, dance time. That's it. You are so welcome. Seriously. Oh, I just introduced you actually before you came on with this thing. This thing called the confidence star. What is it? Oh my gosh.
Where do I start? So let me see it. I actually have it. It's behind me. Oh, let me get it.
Yeah, please. Good. Yeah, so for my audience that haven't met Ife yet, please give her a follow. You will not miss out at all. She is a big player. Look at this star, everybody. Look at that star.
This is the confidence star. And can you see it, or is it mirrored back?
It's batter front, but I can adapt. So it says, I am somebody. I am good enough. I can do anything. I like myself. Yes.
Woo! Yeah, there we are. So this star is, I really believe that this is why I'm here on this planet, to get as many of these stars into the hands of as many boys, girls, women, men. It's just powerful. You know, the conversations that I have as a coach and a speaker, I deal with mainly adults actually, but when we go back in their timeline and we look at them where they were as a child and how important it would be to have those words, you know, to be able to look at yourself, but your parents to say to you, hold on, come here, little Dale, or come here, little Ife, come and stand in front of this mirror, and I want you to say, I am somebody, I am good enough, I can do anything, I like myself. Imagine if our parents installed those affirmations into us at a very young age. Who would we be now? You know, a lot of the imposter syndrome, anxiety, depression built up over us not liking who we are and not believing that it's okay to be ourselves. And there's so much wrapped up in it. And I just thought, what can I do to help people and children to not lose their power as they get older? And I've got a son with autism. So when he was 2 years old, he was diagnosed with autism, and I was told that he would struggle for the rest of his life, and that I as a parent had to just accept who I thought he could be is not who he's going to be, and that we should just get used to the fact that life is difficult and that it will be a challenge, even to the point where they said, you know, he'd probably be living with you and have to live in an assisted living after you're gone. You know, this was the world that was put in front of me for my son, and I just thought, no way, that is not going to be my son. And I had to understand, well, what is the thing when it comes to autism? 9 in every 10 people with autism struggle with depression or anxiety, where it leads to suicidal thoughts. And why is it so high in people with autism? Well, it's because those people are constantly reminded of how they're not like everybody else and how the world is more difficult. So it's that. So I thought, well, what can I do to help this little child, this baby, not fall into the statistic? Because the statistics of the world, whether you're autistic or not, is every 2 hours and 11 minutes a person under the age of 25 takes their own life. You know that, Dale. Like the numbers are just, you know, in the next hour and the next hour and 6 minutes, someone would have took their own life who's under 25. So what can I do to counter? How can I bring the balance back so that people have that power? Well, for my own son, I thought if I can get him to look in the mirror and I can get him to say, I like myself, I'm good enough. If I can build those words in him and it can be a thing that he understands is part of who he can be and who he is. If when me and his dad are no longer here, which is a fear for parents that one day we're going to leave this world and our kids are going to be left here to fend for themselves. What do I want him to have? What do I think is the most... what is the biggest, most important thing I can leave my son? Well, it could be money because we've got life insurance. But actually, even if you give them loads of money, if they don't believe in themselves and they don't like themselves and they don't think they're good enough and they don't have that internal belief, then it doesn't matter. They'll never achieve their goals because they don't have that guiding in them. So then I created the Confidence Star. And it's just changed up. My son's 10 now, you know, like he's 10 now. And actually, the exciting thing is you're probably the first person I've told. So having a son with autism, when he was very, very early, like at school, they suggested he goes to a special school. So I sent him to a special school. But the school had such low expectations of him. And I was like, my son can do loads. And they were like, they're very limiting. So in the end, I pulled him out of school and I homeschooled him for 18 months while I was searching like my local area for a school that saw in my son what I saw. And we went through 23 head teachers told me, we don't think he'll be suitable for this school because they thought he wouldn't be able to learn in that mainstream environment. Finally, this wonderful school, Brixworth Academy in Northamptonshire, they took Quincy in, and the teacher wrote in his first report, sunshine personified. The children in the class are better because he's there. He's making these children. And then that's when Quincy was like, I want to bring a star into my school. I want all my friends to know these words. And then we took them to the school and I did an assembly, and the star then was, and then we were like, let's get the star out there. And then for the last 3 years, I've been taking stars to other people's schools, like my son's school. And they have one in my son's classroom. My son goes to a boys' school, his brother, and the teacher put it on the back of the school door and gets the children to go up and say the words out loud, the boys in his school. And she said, you won't believe how many of them cannot say the words. Now, these are boys who are come from privileged, not mainly privileged backgrounds. They've got parents who are paying for their school fees. They're in very small number classes. They've got high expectations from the teachers. They're in a very privileged position. Yeah, these boys, some of them, many of them still couldn't say those words. That says a lot, doesn't it? It's massive. But then if you go to a deprived area or a low-income area or people with disabilities, they can't say the words. But then if you go to their parents, they can't say the words. You go to the teachers, they can't say the words. I've had a TA. I was at school, and I will let you say something in a minute, Dale, because I'm just going, blah, blah, blah. This is the first time in weeks I've got to talk about the star. I mean, everything I do is brand stories, messaging. This is the first time, so I'm like going, blah. So my point I'm trying to make is that people told me that my son would never be able to do his exams. He wouldn't be able to do his exams because he wouldn't be able to have the comprehension to understand the questions. He wouldn't be able to deal with the stressful environment. That's what he was told at 7. And I was like, no way. Anyway, we were told by his teachers that actually he's going to be doing his exams. He's going to be doing his exams in April, his SATs with everyone else. We've got a tutor to support him and help him. He's got a TA who's going to be there. After going to the tutor on Saturday, she said, I think he's going to do very well. Now, I could have just said, no, don't put him in for his exams, which is what a lot of parents say, because the teachers can sometimes make you think that they can't cope. But every child is different. But my point is that when you teach somebody how to love themselves, not you saying, I believe in you, you're amazing son, you're a brilliant daughter, get them to look in the mirror and say, I love me. I'm worthy, I'm good enough. Like, that's everything I'm about, is helping your children to love themselves and not just needing you as the cheerleader. So yeah, getting parents to teach their children how to cheer for themselves. And that's the star in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's incredible. First of all, massive shout out to Brixworth, just there, a school that's actually wanting to empower kids. Shout out. And your star is absolutely so, it's such a good idea, because they are looking at themselves. It's carving a child's identity. Now, we don't in school. I know, because I've sat on both sides of the teacher's desk. I've been a teacher for 12 years, and I know what teachers teach, and I know what teachers don't teach, and I know what the education system allows and doesn't allow. And this is something they don't really focus on. They don't see the value in it, because it doesn't measure up to the metrics of the education system, the white paper from government, blah, 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 anything like that. But it's quintessentially the most important thing about a child, to understand and establish who they are through their own eyes. And this star absolutely does that completely. And when you said, like, even a child finds it so tough to say that. A child finds it hard to say, I am somebody, I am enough, I believe in myself, I love myself. And you know full well, I know you've done this. You've asked clients, adult clients, to look in the mirror and say that, to love themselves, and they can't do it. It's so hard. It's really hard. What's getting in their way? It's a society. Do we think it's arrogant? Do we think it's pig-headed? Do we think that we are so self-indulgent, self-involved for thinking that? Well, maybe, but I don't care, because I love me. I think I'm freaking phenomenal, and I love myself, and I know that you think the same thing was about you. And you've got to find those little key points throughout your life, whether it's look in the mirror. I'm not on it every single day, because I'm a human being. But I would say 90% of the time, I am like, Dale, you're a legend. Well done, bro. Every single, so I've told you this before, actually, Ife. Every single morning, I wake up in the mirror and go like that, legend, and then carry on my day.
I love it. And you know what you said about, so much you said, Dale, about identity. And it's about parents finding those moments in their children so they can help them re-show them themselves in the mirror. So like the other day, my son, my youngest one, he so he's like the only black boy in his class, and he said, we were looking at eyes the other day, mummy, and he goes, why are my eyes black? I said, your eyes aren't black, they're very, very dark brown. He said, but he said, we did an experiment at school where when you turn off the lights, you can see that your pupils can get bigger when the lights are off. I said, he goes, but nobody could see mine really, because mine was so dark. And I said, and how does that make you feel? He said, And I said, Cuba, can I tell you something about you? And I got down and I said, you are so powerful and strong. And he said, I said, you know that you had to beat 450 million sperm to get into this world. He went, what? I said, so when the reason you're here is because you're a sperm and it met the egg. Now, to get to that egg, there was 450 million sperm swimming as fast as they could get to mummy's egg. But you got there first, and that's why you've arrived here on Earth. You were the strongest. You were. And he was like, I said, so the fact that you're here today is absolutely astonishing and awesome and amazing. And you are powerful beyond belief. Did you know that? And he looked back at me and I could see in his eyes, I said, we've got really dark brown eyes because that's who we are. That's our identity. And your friend has blue eyes and green eyes and light brown eyes. I said, and everyone is individual, and everyone in your class, they are powerful because they beat the 450 million sperm to get to the egg. You're all powerful in your own lanes. And he was like, and I was like, after he went, I thought, that was a moment. Yeah, I did well. So,
amazingly well. Gosh, you're getting so much love, Ife. Seriously, you did amazingly well, and that's you don't. And I think I was going to say you don't know, but I bet you do. You don't know how many parents feel this a bit of a taboo subject to speak about sperm and eggs and how we were consummated and things like that. But
well, if you'd asked the next question, I don't know where I'd have gone if he'd have said, well, if he'd have asked the next question, I wouldn't tell you this story because I am not ready yet to. I don't even know where to start. I'll say, speak to Dale.
Speak to me.
Yeah, You'd
Yeah.
have to give a masterclass on how parents actually. I was hoping you wouldn't go there. I was like, please just take that part. So carry on.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Actually, you say that because it's there's two things I want to. In fact, I'm going to mention the first thing first. People that are listening to this, if he just mentioned the absolute astounding impossibility of every human being born on this planet. And now, the chances of you being here, if you've watched Mel Robbins' TEDx talk, is 1 in 400 trillion, which is a huge number, humongous number.
It's
If we
trillion.
one,
Trillion.
one in 1 in 400 trillion. So if
Oh,
we, that this is how big a trillion is. If we were to count right here, right now, you and me, to a trillion, it will take us 32,000 years, and that's just 1 trillion, let alone 400 trillion. And I say this to assemblies, to school kids. I say this. I want you to imagine you've got 2 million people in a line, roughly about the same size population as San Diego, 2 million people, and they've all got a dice. But this isn't just your stereotypical 6-sided dice. It's a 1 million sided dice. And I want you to get all of them to roll this number exactly at the same time. All 2 million with a 1 million sided dice, number 1,687. What are the chances of that happening? Oh, no, that was impossible. That would never happen. I said, no, you're wrong. It did happen to you, because that's roughly the same percentage chance of you being born. That's how unique and how much of a miracle you are. And every single person in here is likened to it to be the same.
I love that. You saying that made me think about myself. I'm like, oh yeah, I did well.
You did really well. I love
when
it.
you put it like that, Dale, it really gives it gives you clarity that it's absolutely getting here was the hardest thing. Now the next thing is to make sure that we live out our truest, fullest expression of why we're here. We can't go to the grave not giving with the world who we are. Here I see Super Top Fab. Thank you so much for all the love hearts. You were love hearting so much. I hope I'm. Thank you so much for all your responses to what I'm saying. But yeah, it's so important that we help these children to embrace who they are, so that they can actually go on and contribute to the world in their truest form, rather than they end up doing things that hold them back, and then they end up suffering, and then by the time they've finished with their childhood, they end up speaking to me, and I'm speaking to these adults, and I'm like, where was Dale when you were growing up? Like, why didn't someone interject at this younger age, so that you're not working with me on confidence and self-esteem at 37 or 47 or 57 or 71 years old is the oldest lady, the oldest person I've had read the Star and say, I wish I had this 30 years ago. I mean, like, it's astounding to me that you can get to 71 and never say, I like myself. That would have been me. It would have been, it's our parents, it's our grandparents. How many of our grandparents just looked in the mirror and said, I like myself, I love myself, I believe in, I am somebody? How many of them have actually said it? The numbers would be so little.
Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And it's such a shame, isn't it? Because if we strip back the life layer just there, when we empower kids to behave in this way for themselves and see beauty in themselves, and they act unapologetically themselves on this planet, living their passion, living their worth, then who's that going to impact? Well, it's going to impact their younger generation, and then their younger generation, and the cycle is continued as we go through. Because you know this, it's so much more easier to build a strong kid than it is to fix a broken adult. It really is. That's not to exclude adults. They're so powerful. I love them, and they're necessary and needed. So we need to start thinking about our future generation, but start with us first.
Yeah,
really.
Start with us first. I love what you said. It's so definitely build a strong kid than try and help a broken adult, you know. And a lot of the work I do, when you think about timeline therapy and going back into their childhood and realizing that there could have just been one moment, there's this one moment that completely detached them from who they're meant to be, like, and it's like when you think about it too much, it's actually quite depressing.
I mean, I spoke. It's funny you say that. I was speaking about timeline the other day with a parent, and I give the example. By the way, this isn't true, but I can see how it would be. So, for example, if I went to Tesco and I was 5 years old, the imprint phase from 0 to 7, check out Dr. Bruce Lipton, audience, if you're listening to this. Dr. Bruce Lipton, the imprint face, 0 to 7, theta brainwaves, blah, blah, blah. So if my mom said, if I was running around the wide corridors in Tesco and I was being silly because of all the colours, and my mom said, "Del, stop it. You're embarrassing me, stop it." My brain isn't picking up, I'm an embarrassment. It's picking, but what I'm doing is embarrassing. It's picking up, I'm an embarrassment, I'm an embarrassment, I'm an embarrassment. Because my cultural architect, my mother that gives me food, shelter, clothes, love, connection, because she said that, it's got to be true. So I will constantly look for that in my life, how I can be embarrassing, how I can be silly. And it goes all the way through the entirety of my life. And then it affects my exams, affects my relationships, all those things. So what you said can be a little bit depressing, but know this, no parent had a blueprint of how to raise a perfect kid.
No,
Because
and there's no kid. And I love what you said about, the thing is that in those moments when parents speak to their children in that way, between that age and continuing on, is that they hear you're wrong, you're a problem, you're the problem. And then when you go into adulthood, you're like, I'm the problem. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. And that record playing over and over again, there's something wrong with me. And if your parents, the most important people in your life, haven't took a moment to tell you how proud they are, and they're the ones who are telling you that you need to stop that, get down from there, don't do that. You know, there's this one lady that I work with called Liddy, and she works around the terrible twos, because her whole notion is when the terrible twos come, it's a really important part of parenting, because if you scream and shout and holler and get emotionally led by the fact that your child is starting to find its own, break free from the strings and go into the world with no inhibitions, what you do is you actually pull them back. You actually affect them emotionally, because when a child, there's a great book by Brene Brown called The Gift of Imperfect Parenting. I love that book. She talks about how children at the age of 18 to 24 months start to realize that they are separate from their parents. And during that time when they're separate, it means that when you say sit down, they stand up. When they run away and you say come back, they run away again. And that's them actually finding themselves. But if the parent approaches them in a, stop it, you're naughty, sit down, stop doing that, why are you doing this, why are you, oh, they're so naughty. And I've actually been with parents before where they've got their child and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. And they're like, oh, he's a little bugger, he is. Or say, oh, he's such a grumpy little sod, like to me about their child. Or I'll say, oh my God, your daughter's so gorgeous. Well, you should see her when she's at home. She's a bloody nut. And I'm just like what you say about your children, they hear and they feel, and it creates the blueprint. Like you said, the architecture of who they are. It's the structure of their belief system. And even if parents have made mistakes and the children are now 15, 16, there's always opportunities to go back and redesign. But it's not a lost hope. Some people say, oh, it's lost now. No, it's never too late to, there's a quote that says it's never too late to have a happy childhood. I mean, it's never too late to go back and talk to your children about the mistakes that you made and then rectify them. Because children will take, anytime you do anything wrong to your children, if you just say, I'm sorry, the children will instantly take you back because they love you. All you have to do as a parent is say, I'm sorry. Really, it's the only thing you have to do to really mean it. And you see how quickly children forgive, because we want to love our parents, It's just the parents having the strength to have the ability to say, I made a mistake.
100%, 100%. And I love where this conversation has flown so eloquently, because I wanted to ask, how can you help parents do that? And we've just discussed it. Go back and say sorry, because you're not only teaching the child forgiveness, you're teaching them accountability and responsibility, and also an understanding of their own emotional regulation. There's so many lessons in an apology. There are so many. You just have to let your guard down, be vulnerable, and it doesn't matter if you're older, so I know better because I've got more experience. Well, no, you don't, because you wouldn't have shouted in the first place, mate. So pipe down a little bit and then just go to your child, look them square in the eyes and say, do you know what? I shouted at you yesterday, didn't I? I'm so sorry. I love you so much. I haven't got an excuse. I'm not going to ruin my apology with an excuse. Just know that I'm sorry. I'm human and I love you with every fibre of my being. I'm really sorry. And that's the child, like you just said, bang, instantly
That's
accepted.
all they need. That's all they need. They just need to be seen and heard and validated, and for you to, and also you, like you said, well, if you, someone says, "Oh, my child lies to me all the time," I say, "Well, who taught them to lie? You taught them, because they've had to lie to
Yeah.
hide from a crazy reaction." You know, if you're a parent, like I really say to my children, don't ever lie to me. Whatever you say, if you're honest, I won't shout at you and we'll find a way. I said, you've got to tell me the truth all the time. Like my children don't lie to me. When they get older, I'm going to keep insisting, because children who lie to their parents is because when you tell your parents the truth, they react in such a way that you think, I wish I didn't tell you. So do you know what? Next
Yeah.
time I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to lie because it's easier, because you are just dangerous when I tell you the truth. So as parents, whenever they say my child lies, I say, well, who taught them? Because you didn't make it a safe place for them to tell the truth. And that's on us. And maybe growing up, they weren't able to. And, you know, if you were given the slipper, or a lot in my culture, and people who are a bit older than, like, parents used to beat you, you know. So if you told the truth and you got a beating, you would be clever enough to not tell the truth to avoid a beating, right? But what we have to do is help our children to tell us the truth. Help them be somebody who listens, be open, be adaptable. And parents say, oh, I don't want to do that because then I'll give you my power away, or they're going to think that I'm weak. No, actually, vulnerability is strength. When you show your children vulnerability, then they actually see you as more powerful. And also you're showing them how to be vulnerable. What about when they get in trouble at school, or they have a disagreement and they refuse to say sorry to a student, and you get called in and the teachers go, why won't they say sorry? Is it because they learned that from you? Like, did you teach them how not to say sorry? Did you? Because
Yeah.
if you got an environment where your parents are constantly apologizing and saying sorry, and I'm a work in progress. I said to my son once, I said, I've only been a parent for 10 years. I'm really new to this. So give me a couple more years and I'll get better at this. You know, I've had so many times in my life with my children. My youngest, he was like, Mummy, I really want you to give me more notice when it's time to leave, because you just come in and go, right, we're going. He says,
You said that.
yeah.
That's
I'm like, come on then, let's go. Mummy needs a Starbucks. Get in the car, kids, let's go. And they're like, right now? Yeah, right now. I've only got 20 minutes. And then my youngest was like, Mummy, when you want us to do stuff, can you just give me some time? So I used to wake him up in the morning and be like, come on, it's time to get up at 6:30. And then he was like, could you wake me up earlier, please? So could you come in at 6 a.m. so I've got half an hour to get ready? This is my 8-year-old. Who is he is like a genius. He's got an IQ of 128 or something. So he's I understand that not all children are like that, but the fact that he's able to communicate it to me, many other children think like that, but maybe don't have the words. So he's like, Mummy, I need you to wake me up before it's time to go get ready, because I need that space for me. So now we do that. But first it was a shift, and I was like, no, it's time to get up, let's just get up. But didn't realize he needs a different way to get up. He's not like me. He doesn't just jump out of bed and start dancing in the morning. He needs time to wake up. So it's about adapting to our children and making sure we have children that can communicate, because most behavior, all behavior is communication. Because what another child could do is scream and shout and refuse to get out of bed and hold on to the bed and cry and say they hate you, when really what they want to say is, Mummy, you need to give me more time so I can wake up. It's language and communication more than anything. And I have to learn every day. Every day I have to check myself, you know, from the things that I do. You know, I must, because I'm not an expert. I'm learning every day. And what I learn with my children, if I was to get your children, then I can't try and do what I do with my children, with your children, because every child is different and every child needs to be dealt with and spoken to in a way that resonates for them. And I think a lot of parents try and do a canvas parenting. This is just what we do. And maybe I'm in a privileged position because I have a child with autism, so I've never been able to canvas parenting. But having two boys who are very different, I have to adapt. But if one of my friend's son comes to live with us, who's autistic as well, I can't say, well, this is how I am with my autistic son. So I'll be like, no, because everyone's different. You know, everyone's different. We have to, and it's hard work. Blooming hell. It's exhausting.
but it is. I just want to really highlight the point that you made just there. Every behavior is a communication. So if we didn't catch that, everybody, lock that in your brains. And we're not even talking about kids, adults as well. guess what? Adults are allowed to misbehave. It's just communication, because effectively they are just a bunch of giant 5-year-olds that learned a certain lesson when they were younger. So that, and if it goes unchanged, that's what they're going to be like today. So, but listen, Ife, I know full well this is only a little 30-minute slot. So, and I know you are a super, super active bumblebee, and I love that so much. Not busy, because busy means loss of control. Active. So, would you like? I was going to ask you one final question, which is, if you could install one sentence into every single human being's head on the whole planet, what sentence would that be?
3 words. I like myself.
Yes, you smashed it.
I like myself.
That's
I
perfect.
like myself. I like myself. It's those 3 words changed my life, because up until those 3 words, I didn't like myself very much at all. To the point where I remember being very young and actually hitting myself in my own face. Like, imagine how much hate I had for myself that I'd slapped my own face. And because I honestly thought that I honestly believed that if I was horrible to myself and I said, like, you're disgusting, you're ugly, you're awful, you're thick, if I say these things, it will make me not be it. I really believed that if I was horrible to myself, it would make me better. And it wasn't until I learnt the concept from Brian Tracy, he's talked about 3 words that changed his life and that have changed millions of people's lives. He says you have to say, I like myself. He says you go in the mirror and you look at yourself and you say, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, and you pump yourself up. And what it does is it builds confidence, it builds self-esteem, it gets you to feel good about yourself, it changes the narrative. The first time I said it, I cried, because I said it and I didn't believe it. And I didn't even feel like I was allowed to say that about myself. But as I developed and grew and changed the way I spoke to myself and removed that narrative of negativity that I used to say to myself, after 18 months, I was like, I can't remember the last time I put myself down. I can't remember the last time. And to this day, I refuse. I never say anything horrible to myself. I'm never mean to myself, and I do not criticize or put myself down. I'm kind to myself. I'm loving to myself. When I make a decision or do something wrong, I say, Ife, do you know what? Like, I'll give you an example. We both were in this clubhouse room called the Winners Club room, and we're in the room, and I'm no longer part of the Winners Club. I made a decision based on lots of things that had happened, that it wasn't going to be right for me to do that. And I just left. And I left because I was like, I have to leave, and I'm going to do it now, so I don't stay. But in hindsight, I spoke to Paul, and he said, well, it would have been really nice if you would have just picked up the phone and spoke to us and told us, that what was wrong, and that you would have actually just, spoke to us. We've been in each other's lives for all this time, and you just left. It was like you just walked out the door. It's like, he actually said, it's like you'd had an argument with your partner, you'd got your bags, you'd got your suitcase, and you just walked out. And I said, well, it wasn't even like I'd had an argument. It was like a build up of things that I didn't like. And then I walked out without saying why. And that was a moment for me. I was like, now the old Ife would have been like, oh, you're such a, but instead I was like, oh, Ife, you're going to learn from this. Because in hindsight, you should have had a call with them all. You should have spoke to them before you left. You should have given them, this is what you could have done. Oh, Ife, bless you. Why did you do that? Oh, because you knew that maybe you wouldn't leave. And I did the whole kind thing to myself. And then after, I was like, I'm a really good person. And I just made, I made not a good decision. But knowing in the future, in any relationships that I get into the future, I won't go back to my space where I just leave. Because that's obviously, I'd spent time processing it in my mind, and my mind had left, but physically when my body left, I needed to tell somebody out of respect. So I learned in that moment. And I was like, wow, this is going to really serve me in the future. Where someone with low self-esteem would have been like, oh, why did I do that? Oh, I'm mean, I'm horrible, no one's going to like me. But I was like, oh, bless you, Ife, you'll learn. And that's it. And that's the point. Learn and love yourself enough to let your lessons support you moving forward, not hinder you and undermine you. Let them teach you. I'm never in my life going to be in a relationship with anyone or anything, and I'm never going to leave just because I'm leaving, because I'm gone. I will always make it my mission to have like a close off, like a resolution now, because I've learned that.
almost like leave with love. I think I think you didn't make the wrong decision at all. I think you made the right decision because it conflicted with your values. And then the most important thing in a person, after knowing their identity, I think you didn't beat yourself up, but you may want to tune a different action of how you do it next time, just in case. And I think you've just given yourself full permission to do that. And to be fair, I think you made a perfect decision for you and in your future and your family. So yeah. And by the way, just if those that have joined us, by the way, I do have to say hello to my mom. Hey mom, love you. She's probably listening. She just popped on. Um, I think your eyes, if your son's eyes are anything like your eyes, then they are absolutely beautiful. And you can tell him that.
Thank you so much. I will tell him that. They actually are exactly like mine.
There
Except
you
for his
go.
it's got his dad's eyeball socket shape, but he's actually got my eyes. Yeah, it's really interesting. But
Well,
they love you. They absolutely love you. And anyone who's watching, before I go, Dale does the best videos. So go over to his reels, go over to his videos, watch them, show them, get your phone and just push it right in front of your children. Because I showed my sons the one about boys are better than girls, and they laughed their heads off. They giggled so much. And I think it's so nice because I don't think on social media there is many people that actually engage this message in a fun, playful, cool way that especially boys will be able to watch it and feel like, I like that Dale, he's cool. So you're definitely owning your space, and it's definitely a great thing to do. And you do YouTube, because I really think you should do YouTube, because my kids and their friends, they watch YouTube. I will send you a link of some of the people they watch on YouTube, just so you can see. They watch these boys. It reminds me of you. There's two boys, and they do this thing where they run around the house. They're like, this is what it's like making a bed. And then they run around, and they do this is me as Spider-Man for the day. And they do all these really crazy out there stuff, but they might resonate more if it was someone who sounded like my children, because I think they're so you could just do what they do in the English space there. I'll send you when my sons come home, I'll say, show me those funny videos. They're so funny. I'll send them to you. But I think you could definitely take that space. Are you on YouTube?
No, but I want you now, 100%. I think maybe I should do that, but get the kids to do it. So I could ask your kids to do that, copy it, and then put them on YouTube if it's okay, permission from the parents. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Behind the scenes, Dale.
Yeah, really cool.
The videos.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Oh.
Let me speak to them. I think that'd be so good. And that's what you do, don't you? You just learn from what other people are doing well, and then do your own thing.
100%. So before we do, Dash, how can I help you? How can people find you? Have you got anything that you're releasing soon where people can join your program or anything like that? Go.
Thank you so much, Dale. I'd say the one thing that would be the best thing for me is for people to buy the Confidence Star. Get the Confidence Star, get it into your home, and just start using it as part of your daily routine with your children, with yourself. Just really, really, just.
And post it. I'm sorry. When you do that, guys, post it. Tag Ife into it, because obviously if it's going to share it around with everybody, because it's so important. But where can they get it? Give me the link. Yeah,
I'm just putting the link in. It's going to be a link. Okay, hold on. I'll put the actual link to the conference.
Ife is just putting the link to the Confidence Start in the chat, which is amazing. And also, my phone's gone being a bit silly. And I will onto so I'll put this I'll put this on the link on there as well. There's the link. There we go. By the way, Megan, I know you're watching this. Can you do me a favor and copy and paste that and send that to me via WhatsApp, please? Thank you, Megan. Megan. Cool. That's amazing. So people can buy the start. There's the link. Then after they've done it, they will obviously see the results, and then they'll post it on Instagram or whatever social media. Tag Ife into it, so then Ife can share it, so we can impact the world in a positive, amazing way. Megan's already on it. I knew she would be.
Thank you. I really appreciate you, Dale. Thank you for having me here today, and thank you for letting me share. Oh, it's a real pleasure. It's a treat, actually, because part of my overall mission is to get the stars, one in every single home across the globe. And But at the moment, for me to do that, I need to make sure that I have my main core business running and scaling. So once that's done, I'm going to definitely focus all my energy on the stars. Oh, Sarah said, I bought the star for my grandson who was 7. He loves it. And we all say the words on the beautiful star. When I ordered it, it came really quickly. Oh,
No.
thank you, Sarah. Yes. And it's so nice just to know that there's children all around the world saying these words. You know, we've got in Australia, in America, you know, Glenn Lundy even has one of the stars. From Breakfast with Champions, Brian Benstock, you know, the stars are everywhere. And that's my gift to the world, the stars.
That is absolutely phenomenal, and rightly so. Rightly so, because it is absolutely incredible. So let's spread the stars. Let's spread the stars around the world, like the stars in the sky, and let's do it to empower as many kids in this entire planet, because like we all know, it's so much easier to build a strong kid than it is to fix a broken adult. But let's not forget about those adults, because they're very important as well. Ife, I've loved this conversation. You are so pure and beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. I'll let you carry on with your life. See you
Bye.
later.
Catch you later. Bye.
Bye.
See you later. That was the amazing Ife Thomas. How cool is she? If you're not doing so already, you must give her a follow. I'll put the links on the chat a little bit later on. Now, for those of you who do want to impact kids' lives and you are an educator and or a teacher, I am hosting a brand new training that's going to help you become a coach, if that's something that you wanted to do. I've been speaking to a lot of teachers recently that are feeling a little bit undervalued, a little bit squashed. They feel underpaid, and they feel as if their values, their ideas are not being taken seriously in educational space. So what we're doing now is I am helping teachers turn into coaches so they can get rid of the admin but still coach kids powerfully. That's something that we're going to be doing. If you are interested in that, you can send me a direct message, a DM, or you can message Megan, which is Megan Breaks Through, and she'll send you all of the information. She'll send you the brand new free training if you are interested. But in the meantime, everybody, carry on being absolutely amazing. Have a powerful day and keep impacting the world the way you want it to be impacted. Peace out.